The picks are in as the Chicago Bulls select Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain. We're going to be talking about what their potential fits are for the Chicago Bulls and how this could impact the Bulls heading into the second round of the NBA draft. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Bazelis slam dunks in games, because in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're taking a look at both players that the Chicago Bulls selected in the first round of this NBA draft. And so starting with Caleb Wilson. And so look, Caleb Wilson, I think that it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that he was going to end up as a Chicago Bull. I think that if you continue to really look at just the mock drafts out there, everybody had him going to the Chicago Bulls, and it happened here. And so the Bulls go ahead and take Caleb Wilson. And so at the NBA draft combine, he measured in at 6'9" without the shoes, 211, 7 feet wingspan. He had a 9 feet standing reach. And the real thing that you love about Caleb Wilson is just, first of all, the way that he attacks the rim. I just love the way that he attacks the rim, either in transition, catching lobs, or off the bounce. And so I think that that's the first thing to love about his game. Next, I love his mid-range game. And so I like the fact that he has a little bit of a back to the basket type of game from the mid-range. Also, too, he will pull up from the mid-range and knock that down. And so I think he can tighten that up a little bit more. But still, I think he comes in ready to go ahead and contribute there from the second level. The next thing that he plays with that I think that the Bulls certainly need is going to be the edge. I think that he gives you that edge on both ends of the floor, wanting to go at the person that's guarding him. And also, too, he wants to go at the person that he's guarding. And so I think that for the Bulls to just really turn into a winning type of team, you need players that have that edge. And so as far as the things that he will need to work on, I think he's going to have to get even better with his jump shot, especially just at the perimeter. So knocking down 3-point shots and everything else. And so the next thing with him is just becoming a bit more of a playmaker, which I think that he's going to certainly round out a little bit more here at the next level. But he averaged 19.8 points per game, 2.7 with the assist, 1.4 with the block shots, and 9.4 with the rebounds. And so you love that. Just talking about his jump shot from outside. And so just 25.9% from deep. So something he could certainly improve on to space the floor there. 57.8% from the field. So Caleb Wilson goes to the Bulls at pick number 4. Next, talking about the next player that the Chicago Bulls selected, and that is going to be Dailyn Swain. And so Dailyn Swain, look, I think that he has some real good upside as a two-way type of player. And so with him, just athletic, and so he checks the box there. That's something that Bryson Graham was certainly looking for, in his slap personality there, which was size, length, athleticism, and then also to the physicality. And so you get the athleticism with both players, and I think that you get some physicality here. And so, with Dailyn Swain, 6'6.5" without the shoes, 211 was his weight, 6'10" wingspan, and he had a 36.5 vertical leap as well. He was the SEC newcomer of the year. And so what I liked about him is, number one, his ability to finish. And so I think that he does a terrific job as far as getting downhill and finishing, either in transition or off the bounce. And I think that that is really his preferred thing to do, is to really get downhill. The next thing that I like too about him and his driving ability is the way that he's able to slow down. He kind of slows down, kind of does the drag step and finishes at the rim. And so I like that body control that he shows when he's driving downhill. And so terrific, I think, as a slasher, something that will fit in well with the current guards here that the Chicago Bulls have. The next thing with him is that he has the ability to be disruptive on defense. And so I think between him and Caleb Wilson, the way that they could potentially play the passing lanes, you love that. And then that's not even counting the fact that the Bulls are going to get Noah Asingay. You still have Leonard Miller. You have Modest Bazelis, who's hopefully going to step into his own some more here in his third season. And so the Bulls continue to get the size, the length, and again, you get the athleticism athleticism, and you get a little bit of an edge here defensively, which is exactly, I think, what Bryson Graham wants to do with this team as he continues to build it out. The next thing with him is that he can also make plays. And so you see right there, finding teammates. So showing his ability to find teammates either in transition or in half court sets. And so that lets you know he can play on or off the ball here as you see him go around the pick and roll. Nice little spin and finish. And so there's a lot to love about him. I think as far as the things that he's going to need to get better at, I think that number one, he's going to have to get stronger, especially if he's going to play in the lane at the NBA, because you're going to have to be stronger when you're going against much taller and physical opponents here in the NBA. And I think that really every NBA draft prospect that's coming up into the NBA will have to get stronger to absorb the contact here at the next level. And the next thing with him is that he's got to become an even better three-point shooter to kind of space out the floor as well. And so just looking at his numbers, 17.3 points per game with Texas really was a breakout there offensively for him. He played with Xavier the first 2 seasons in college, and so just 4.6 points and 11 points in the second year. Then that's when he went on to go for 17.3 with Texas. As far as the steals, pretty consistent across the board. So 1.6 steals this last season, averaged 1.4 for his career in 3 college seasons, 3.6 assist. And so you love that because he did have the basketball in his hands a lot more this last season. So again, just going back to what I was talking about with his ability to be a playmaker. As far as the rebounds, that's another thing to really love about Dailyn Swain is the fact that he rebounds, I think, well at the wing position here. And so 7.5 as far as the rebounds there. And so 7.5, the rebounds went up every season. And then when you look at the free throw percentage, 81.5%. And so you absolutely are going to have to knock down the free throws, especially if you're going to seek out that much contact. Got to the line about 4 to 5 times a game. And then as far as the three-point shooting, look, this is where he needs to get a bit more consistent. 15.4% in his first season, 25% in the second season, 34.4% here in his last season. And so you see the progress, but I think you just wonder how real is that? You know, just the one season that he did shoot that well, can he continue to shoot that well? And also, too, with the three-point line, it's going to be further here at the NBA level, and 54.2% from the field. So pretty consistent there. Played in 36 games to show his durability as well. And so some great picks here for the Chicago Bulls. You know, I thought it was very interesting because, look, we were trying to figure out what the Chicago Bulls were going to do really at pick 15. I don't think that pick 4 was really in question. I just was wondering, you know, was Bryson Graham going to make a move to either move up from pick 15, or was he going to try to put together some assets and maybe get back into the first round of this NBA draft? And so it did not happen there. And so Bryson Graham takes both picks, and I love it. I think he's off to a great start. And so as far as how this is going to maybe just point the Bulls in this direction here for this second round coming up here tomorrow, I think that you can expect maybe for the Bulls to take a look now at the front court some more. And so I could see them maybe taking a look at a center, right? Because you did go out and get Nick Claxton there to start for you. And I think that Nick Claxton doesn't get in the way of a front court player. And so if you have a young player that you bring in the front court, I think that Nick Claxton can go ahead and mentor them. And also, too, you're looking at his contract. He's only on a 2-year deal. And so, you know, it's not like anything that the Bulls are tied into long term here. And so he can help bring that center along. And so I think that there are plenty of centers that the Chicago Bulls can take a look at here in the second round. And also, too, there's players that they could take a look at the power forward position. And so once again, we will talk a little bit more about some of these sleepers here that are in the second round that could be a potential good fit here. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Once again, Bryson Graham uses both the picks here in the first round for the Chicago Bulls, taking Caleb Wilson, and then also taking Dailyn Swain out of Texas, who was mocked to the Chicago Bulls by the Athletic. And so I only saw him going to the Bulls in one place here. And so it comes true here for the Chicago Bulls as he is now with the Bulls. And you also have Caleb Wilson. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain. Once again, we will be talking a little bit more about what the Chicago Bulls potentially can do in the second round in this NBA draft. And so, look, as we always say, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.